Blog Talk Radio.
Hello and welcome to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to the show. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, welcoming you to episode 198 of Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio. And I'd like to wish all my friends and listeners a happy, happy, happy New Year. I hope that your New Year will also be safe and prosperous. This is the first show of 2014, and of course 2014, the big year of the midterm elections. So we're going to kick off the midterm elections tonight. But first of all, news, and then tie some of that news into what we think and hope that our friends on the right will be doing to counter the regressives that we currently have in power in the Senate and in the White House. Of course, we're not voting for the White House now, but if we can win the Senate, we can at least put a ring around the White House and at least stop some of the major problems occurring. And I'd like to say put the White House in handcuffs, but that's not going to happen yet. But you never know, it may well happen. Anyway, I'd like to say hi to Mary as well, who's arrived in the chat room there. Happy New Year to you, Mary. And, of course, as I mentioned in last week's show, this week the show is coming to you from north of the border. Yes, this is yet another international Patriot Come Lately show. I'm coming to you from beautiful, sunny, beautiful, cold Toronto. Here north of the border, we had a day where the wind chill actually went down to minus 40. For those of you that know of my European background, you say, well, Stefan, do you mean minus 40 Fahrenheit or minus 40 centigrade? It doesn't matter, because at minus 40, they are both exactly the same. And as somebody once said, when it gets that cold, brass monkeys get very worried. And it was very cold. Very painful just walking outside. I was lucky going from the hotel to the office by car, but even just walking from the hotel to the car and from the car to the office, just painful to walk in that amount of cold. Before we get to the news, it's interesting, by the way, I just want to mention, looking at the TV here in Canada, very limited choice, no Fox News for me here, a little bit of CNN, but the rest, it's all Canadian stations or LSM stations from just across the border. I think Buffalo is on the TV here in the hotel, but it's all LSM. And who wants to watch those? But interestingly enough, the Canadian stations, many of them still fawning over our imperial family, wondering what Muchel is getting up to. Well, we'll talk about that, but definitely spending our money again. He and she are very good at that. Anyway, folks, let's go to the news. And there was something that I came across that rather shocked me. It turns out that there is a suspicion that a former Gitmo detainee actually played a role in the attack on the American compound in Benghazi, which is now over a year ago. And so the government, the regime is actually planning to designate the group that this person leads as a foreign terrorist organization, which means they can try and freeze financial assets and bar American citizen and companies from doing business with them. But the scuttlebutt is that militiamen under the command of Abu Sufyan bin Kumu, who's the leader of Ansar al-Sharia in the Libyan city of Darna, were part of the group that attacked the U.S. ambassador, Christopher Stevens, in Benghazi. And witnesses have told the State Department that Kumu's men were in Benghazi before the attack on September 11th of 2012. They don't have any evidence of whether they were there as part of the planned attack or just by chance, but they did participate. Apparently, the drive from Darna to Benghazi is several hours, so by chance, probably not. And the State Department is going to release a designation of Ansar al-Sharia as foreign terrorist organizations. It's Ansar al-Sharia in Darna, Benghazi itself, and in Tunisia. They're going to put it on the list of foreign terrorist organizations, and they will tie Kumu's group into the Benghazi attack at that time. Well, about time they did something about it. And as I said, they're going to freeze their financial assets and stop people from working with them. That is, except the government, because the government is the only part of the U.S. that is actually allowed to work with and support terrorists. Well, the president has been talking about extending the unemployment benefits, and of course the Democrats are scratching around looking for votes to pass their agenda in the Senate. They've got the majority, and they keep changing the rules so they can do a lot of things with majority rather than the supermajority that the Senate was set up to actually have to pass laws. But anyway, and of course the Republicans are just dilly-dallying around and not really doing anything. So Rush Limbaugh was talking about this, and he mentioned the fact that the president was talking about extending the unemployment benefits. This is now all of a sudden the number one thing that he's using to divert attention from Obamacare. And Rush said, so the president is now showing how he's filled with big-hearted compassion, and the Republicans are, with steel-cold eyes, are saying to the people of the country, no, you have to suffer. We won't extend your unemployment benefits. Now, Rush wants to remind us, though, and this is, I think, very, very important. That's why I wanted to tell you about it. But Rush reminds us, and he's one of the few people who has done, I have to give him that, the only concession that the Republicans got for giving Obama an unlimited debt ceiling, and remember, he got the unlimited debt ceiling with a condition. The condition was that the Democrats would not push to extend federal unemployment benefits. Well, how can you trust the regressives? Can you trust the lying a-hole Obama? No, you can't. Because that was the one concession that they asked for and supposedly were given, and now it's been blown to smithereens. So now you see how they've totally been screwed by the left. So, and what we're talking about here, it's these federal benefits were the 99 weeks now, the extension to 99 weeks, was passed back in 2008. It was an emergency. It was supposed to only be an emergency. But the president, of course, is relying on the fact that we've forgotten that it was an emergency, and is saying that this is the first time we're doing it, and this will resolve everything. He said, we're almost there, folks. This economy is really roaring back. The recovery is going full bore, but there are still some people hurting, and we need to extend these unemployment benefits, when the agreement was they wouldn't do it. So as Rush says, we're paying people not to work for up to 99 weeks. We've been doing it since 2008. It's taken us 5 years. It started as an emergency. Now they're trying to set it up as a full-time, permanent solution. It was a one-time boost that was done to ease the recession. It was all part of the stimulus agreement in 2008, and then Obama was inaugurated in 2009. So this was supposed to be a one-time thing in 2008, and they've been extended every year since then in a flim-flam ceremony, exactly like they're going to try and do again this year. Now, according to Obama, the recession officially ended in July of 2009. That's 4.5 years ago. But we still have to give people 99 weeks of unemployment benefits. We still have to pay people not to work. And that's what they're trying to get pushed through the Senate right now. And then they can show how heartless the Republicans in the House are. The story that the AP put about, and of course we know how in the tank the AP is for the regime, they said the Democrats want to do this to demonstrate sympathy. And as Rush says, translation, buy votes. Never mind that it was Obama and the Democrats who prolonged this recession and have given us the worst economic recovery in the history of this country. And it is. It's the worst economic recovery that has ever happened. And there is no economic recovery. The president said that they now had 4% growth. That's total BS. They're just changing the way they measure growth. And then they can say, it's 4%. They could say it's 10%. They can just change the way they measure it and say, okay, now we've got 10% growth. It's total BS. So folks, don't be taken in by all of that, because it is just an absolute crock load of lies. And talking about the fact that 2014 is the upcoming midterm elections, as I've been saying the last few shows, but now that we're actually in 2014, let's reiterate it. This sort of BS, we need to shout it from the highest towers and remind people that they're totally being given a snow job by this regime, and we need to kick them out. We need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of the Democratic majority in the Senate. We need to bolster the Republican majority in the House by sending lots of Tea Party representatives there, and we need to teach the Republican establishment and the Democrats in the Senate that we are not to be trifled with, and we're fed up with all the BS. I wanted to say Happy New Year to Iggy and Rex in the chat room as well. Nice to see you folks. Hope you had a great change of year, as we say over on the other side of the Atlantic, as they say in Europe. And I wish you all the best for 2014, including the change of Senate majority, as I said, and also, like I said, an increase in the Tea Party caucus in the House. Keep your fingers crossed, folks. Think positive. This is the year it's going to happen. Another reason why we really have to put the fetters on this regime, because now, according to the Mexico-based newspaper El Universal, It turns out that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency, yes, the DEA, agents from that agency and U.S. attorneys held secret meetings with drug trafficking organizations, especially the Sinaloa cartel, which is probably the worst cartel of all of the drug cartels in Mexico. And they met on Mexican soil. And by the way, both the U.S. Attorney's Office and the DEA are both components of the U.S. Department of Injustice. That's right, the racist Eric Holder's group of cronies. And the newspaper cited official and court documents from the U.S. and Mexican governments showing that the U.S. government knew and authorized these meetings, which resulted in drug seizures, arrests, and an increase in drug cartel violence in Mexico, because they were sharing information, getting information from the Sinaloa cartel, but also taking them information that they had about the competitors of the Sinaloa group. Breitbart News also went in and confirmed the validity of the court papers, but the Mexican newspaper alleges that the DEA operations were carried out without the knowledge of the Mexican government. So we were sending government agents across the border without letting our supposed ally know that they were doing this, and they were working with the most bloodthirsty, cutthroat thugs that are fighting the Mexican government, infiltrating the Mexican government, corrupting the Mexican government, and the U.S. government was doing this without letting their own allies know. Can you imagine anything so despicable as that? The paper has been collecting this information over the period of a year, and during that time it conducted interviews with more than 100 active and retired officials from both countries. They also interviewed inmates, their families, and experts. Supposedly, the DEA and U.S. attorneys met with the leaders of the Sinaloa cartel primarily, although apparently also some other leaders of drug trafficking organizations, to garner information, but as we all know from other reports, also to share information so that the Sinaloa could cut down its competition. And by the way, the Sinaloa cartel, you may remember, they are the organization that received the bulk of the firearms intentionally dispensed to drug cartels under the ATF's Fast and Furious operation. And that's something that we know has been proven by the congressional investigation. And in actual fact, that whole gunwalking operation was also linked to a drug trafficking immunity deal between the U.S. government and the Sinaloa cartel, because they wanted to have, I suspect they just wanted to have one cartel to work against. So the other cartels were basically being cut down by the Sinaloas. But on top of that, just wonder how much money changed hands, and not just in the direction of from here to the Sinaloa, but I'm thinking more the other way around. And of course, there was a defendant that was awaiting trial in Chicago, and they gave him an immunity deal. That's mentioned in the U.S. court papers published by the Mexican newspaper, and that his immunity also came out of some of these secret meetings that the DEA was holding south of the border. Other stories allege that the Sinaloa cartel is actually being protected by the U.S. government. Can you imagine that? They're protecting drug traffickers? Unbelievable. So, folks, again, this is the election year. This is the midterm. We have to show the regime that we will not take this anymore. We're going to stand up and say, folks, we won't take it anymore. And by the way, before we go to a break, just want to mention that according to the Mexican newspaper, both DOJ and the U.S. agencies declined to comment on the meeting. Yeah, right. But these secret operations in Mexico are actually in violation of agreements between the two countries, as well as the United Nations Agreement on Organized Crime. Now, doesn't this regime always talk about how we have to follow more what the United Nations does, but when it's handy for them, they just totally ignore it. Folks, please spread this message. We cannot let this regime have power anymore. Go out and vote. Hold your nose. Vote for any Republican, preferably conservative, but let's kick as many Democrats out as we can. If we could get 60 in the Senate, boy, what we could do. And we might even be able to get that stupid GOP establishment to do it. Okay, folks, time for the break. As I like to say, got to pay the rent now and again, so stick with me while we play these messages.
Are you paying too much for your car insurance policy? Have you shopped your current plan in the last year? If you haven't, then you probably are paying too much. You could save up to 40% on your current car insurance coverage just by making a free call right now. Doesn't it make good sense to pay less for something you have to pay for anyway? And car insurance is one of those things. You got to have car insurance, whether you have one car or 10 cars. So why not see if you can pay a lot less for it right now? One quick 3-minute call, and you could save hundreds of dollars on your car insurance. We'll compare the leading car insurance companies and get you coverage that could save you up to 40% on your car insurance. Call now for a free quote. Call 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. 800-603-9980. That's 800-603-9980.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever? Getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom112.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom112.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom112.com. Go to freedom112.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom112.com.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patriotcomelately.us. And folks, I'm going to play some music to celebrate the new year, to celebrate this election year, and I'm thinking positive, to celebrate the resurgence of clear-thinking people, whether they're called Tea Party, whether they're called 9/12, whether they're called conservatives, libertarians, whatever you want to call them. Let's focus on being positive. Let's focus on taking away the reins of power from this corrupt regime. And so I'm going to play some music here. And let's start with Lloyd. The great Lloyd Marcus has some great songs, and here's one that I like very much.
Mr. President, your stimulus is short about just a socialistic scheme. The only thing it will do is kill the American dream. You want to take from achievers, somehow you think that's fair, and redistribute to those folks who won't get out of their easy chair. We're having a tea party across the land. Come on and join our band. We're standing up for freedom and liberty. Cause patriots have shown us freedom ain't free. So when they call you a racist, cause you disagree, it's just another of their dirty tricks to silence you and me. I believe in the Constitution and all it stands for. Anyone who tramples it should be booted out the door. We're having a tea party across this land. If you love this country, come on and join our band. We're standing up for freedom and liberty. Cause patriots have shown us freedom and free. Now we're not advocating violence. That's what the so-called peace crowd do. We're talking peaceful protest to defend the red, white, and blue. We gotta vote out these clowns who don't love the USA. Stay up late, losing sleep, fearing what the French might say. We're having a tea party across this land. If you love this country, come on and join our band. We're standing up for freedom and liberty. Cause patriots have shown us freedom and free. We're having a tea party across this land. If you love this country, come on and join our band. We're standing up for freedom and liberty. Cause patriots have shown us freedom and free.
And that was the great Lloyd Marcus, singer extraordinaire of the Tea Party, with his Tea Party anthem. And like I said, I'm thinking positive. This is the year of the resurgence of those who believe in the Constitution and believe in reining in the power of this corrupt, over-the-top, despicable regime. And let's think positive. Before we go to the next commercial break, I do want to talk a little bit about next week's show. Next week's show is 199, almost there for the big landmark. And so next week I'm going to have a bunch of hosts from Red State Talk Radio Network join me in a round table. I did this on episode 99. Couple of years ago, and wow, time goes quickly, doesn't it? And we're going to try it again. It was great fun last time, so I hope that you'll join, get a lot of very differing views, and kind of go around the table and see what people think. Want to say hi to Echo. Thanks for joining us, and a very happy New Year to Echo as well. But if you can, join me next week. And then, of course, the week after that will be episode 200, and working on something special for that. Will be something just me. And I don't know if you remember episode 100, the sort of rather dark fiction that I put together for that particular show. So there's going to be a little fiction in 200, but let me just say we're going to be a lot more positive than we were for episode 100. Even though the skies are dark and Obama seems to be taking power left, right, and center, I don't think he is. I think these midterms are going to be positive, so I'm thinking positive, and I want you to think positive, and I want you to think about going out and just spreading that positive news to everybody. We are going to do a lot better in 2014. We're going to start taking back that power. Anyway, so time for the next break, and after the break I want to talk a couple of things. First of all, about something interesting that's going on in Illinois, and then we're going to talk about a couple of other talk show hosts, real ones, dare I say that, Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, with some of the things that they've been doing about trying to get the public interested and coming up with other ideas. But we'll talk about that after these messages, and maybe a little bit more music as well. Like I said, I want to pump us up for what's coming up. So here we are. Talk to you after the break.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish, because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-865-5017. That's 1-800-865-5017. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-865-5017 for details.
Why spend more than you have to on your life insurance? Did you know that term life insurance rates have fallen over 60% in the last 15 years? At the Life Insurance Quote Line, we monitor the rates, features, and financial strength of hundreds of life insurance products. For example, a healthy 40-year-old can protect his family with $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $20 a month. Rates for women are even lower. And don't forget to ask us about the new term life policies that guarantee your money back even if you don't die. Since 1986, we've helped tens of thousands of people just like you save a fortune on their life insurance. Why not find out how much you can save? Write down this number and call today for your free quote. 1 5-minute call is all it takes. Call 800-915-9734. 800-915-9734. That's 800.
150 million people suffer from headaches. All you want is for the pounding in your head to stop. Migralex stops the pounding. Migralex was developed by a neurologist and founder of the New York Headache Center.
I'm neurologist Dr. Alex Mauskov. After studying and researching the human brain for 25 years, I've developed Migralex, which eliminates pounding headaches. It works for my patients, and I'm so convinced it will work for you. I don't just guarantee it, I put my name on it.
Dr. Mauskop's Migralex gets rid of headaches fast without harsh caffeine, sodium, or preservatives.
Migralex works unbelievably fast, and it's gentle on my stomach.
Find out how to get your free bottle of Migralex. Call 800-559-3307. Plus, if you're one of the first 100 callers, you'll also receive the Migralex Quick Tips to Headache Relief absolutely free. That's 800-559-3307. Or go to migralexrelief.com. MIGRALEX relief.com. Or call 800-559-3307.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patriotcomelately.us. And folks, thanks for sticking with me through the break. Just want to remind listeners who listen to the recordings, if you don't listen within a few weeks of this show, and this show's going out at the beginning of January, be aware that some of these special offers may not be available. Don't blame me, but otherwise, if you do need any of these products, appreciate you using the 800 number that's in the commercial, because that helps support the show. I do get a little bit of money every time you call those numbers, so appreciate that. And want to remind you, if you've got any questions or comments about things that come up in the show, then please do email me. This is especially for the people who are listening to recordings or listening to the rebroadcast on the Red State Talk Radio Network. do email me. Stefan@patriotcomelately.us is where you can reach me. Love to hear from my listeners. I will reply to you, and I will also try and bring your questions into the show. Let's see. I said we'd talk about something in Illinois, and we'd also have some music, and then the talk show host. Let's start with Illinois, because I saw a very interesting thing. You may remember recently the federal court struck down Chicago's ban on gun sales. They had a very draconian law in Chicago, and it was deemed unconstitutional. And so now they have to be able to, people in Illinois have to be able to apply for gun permits. And actually this started over the weekend is when the permitting began. And by the way, it's a website where they take the details to do this, but it works. Funny. Something to do with guns works while Obamacare doesn't. Okay, well, anyway. So, in a very short space of time, and the Chicago Sun-Times reported over 4,500 individuals signed up on Sunday alone for their firearms permits, and this was the first day that the state police opened the process to all concealed carry applicants. Prior to that, there had been an early application process that actually began in December, and it was only open to firearms instructors. But now it's open to everybody, and they've already had over 11,000 people sign up. They're actually expecting 350 to 400,000 people to sign up this year, which will be about 1,000 a day. The police department says so far we're pleased with the process. The early application process allowed us to work out several issues, and things are going along fine. They now have 90 days to approve or reject applicants if their applications are completed and their fingerprints submitted in electronic format. Illinois is actually the last state to pass legislation allowing residents to carry concealed weapons. And the 5-year permit costs $150 for residents, $300 for non-residents. Now, the healthcare.gov has been going for over 2 months, and enrolling in Obamacare is actually on a slower pace than those looking to become concealed carry permit holders. After 2 months, apparently only 7,000 people from Illinois actually enrolled in Obamacare. Can you imagine that? So they've got less people enrolled than people who went for their concealed carry permit. Not a slap in the face for King Barry. On top of that, in December, apparently, there were 30,000 residents who actually tried to apply, but their applications have to be redone because, in actual fact, the applicants were denied private coverage and they signed up for Medicaid. So remember, that 7,000 is only people signing up for actual private insurance. And the government referred them to Medicaid, but of course there was something wrong with the website, and so now they've got to go back. So there were a few more than the concealed carry holders that actually applied, but they all got sent to Medicaid. So I mean, just a total mess. Can you believe that? Okay, folks, I think I'm going to play a bit more music. Like I said, I want to get us pumped up for thinking positive. So let's have a nice positive song here. And I think let's try this one. I think this is a good one because we are going to try and take our country back, folks.
country back, my friend. You gotta take your country back. Now get out of my way or slip on this train. I'm headed to my Washington house to let those suckers know on election day I'm gonna kick most of them on out. And count no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children. And we love this nation. So let's protect our borders and protect our freedom. I'm taking my country back, putting it back on the right track. Corrupt politicians making bad decisions. We all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I can hear them say, take your country back. Oh yeah, son, you gotta take your country back. Take your country back. Oh yeah, you gotta take your country back. Now Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and John Quincy Adams too. If you could go to Washington one more time, what would you say or do? I'd say no more high taxes. We want a free market system. We don't like socialism. See, we believe in capitalism. And we love our children. And we love this nation. That's why we wrote the Constitution, to protect our freedom. So start taking your country back, putting it back on the right track. Now corrupt politicians making bad decisions, we all had enough of that. If our founding fathers could talk today, I bet to hear them say, take your country back right now. Yeah, you gotta take your country back. I'll take your country back right now. Son, you gotta take your country back. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah. God help us take our country back and put it back on the right track. Yeah, put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, yeah, take it back. Oh, take it back. And put it back on the right track. Oh, take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Take it back and put it back on the right track.
And there we are. Take our country back. Think positive, folks. That's what we're going to do. We are going to take our country back, and we really need to. We're going to have to work for it again. Let's not just sit back and think it's going to come to us. We've got all these bad things happening to Obama curse and Benghazi and everything, but we've got to keep it in the public mind, and we've got to make sure that we work hard for that election. And then, as I said, take away the power, put handcuffs on King Barry, well, figuratively perhaps, and maybe even, if we're lucky, literally. And just very quickly, Mary mentioned that any kind of permit for a weapon is unconstitutional. I agree with you, but the Supreme Court has ruled otherwise, and unfortunately we're stuck with that judicial activism, so we're going to have to live with it. So anyway, time for the last break, folks, and after the last break, we will talk about these talk show hosts that are coming up with good ideas on how we can attack the regressives.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. That's 800-704-1662.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-259-1409. 1-800-259-1409. 1-800-259-1409. That's 1-800-259-1409.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive. A proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And welcome back for the last segment. Just a quick shout out to COG, who's just arrived. Happy New Year to you. And okay, the final segment. I promised you talk about what a couple of good talk show hosts are doing. Start off with Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity has come up with something which I think is very good, because the left is always saying you Republicans don't have any ideas. You just say what you don't want and you don't come up with any ideas. Well, Sean Hannity has come back with a list of conservative solutions that he believes will help put America back on track and reverse the overwhelming American decline. And therefore, and that's what I think is good about what he's doing, they cannot criticize conservatives for only bashing but never offering their own fixes. Yesterday, he published the first article in a new series called Conservative Solutions Caucus 2014, and they outline these specific topics that he believes will have an immediate impact on reversing the unsustainable path the country is on, from economy to Obamacare to energy and the border. So here's a quick outline in the time remaining. We don't have a lot of time, so here's very quickly. First of all, he believes in the penny plan. Not perfect, but still a lot better than anything that our dear friends on the other side of the aisle have. The penny plan takes a penny out of every dollar the government spends every year for 6 years. By doing that, the economists claim that we can balance the budget in 6 years. But to strengthen that, Sean Hannity says we should also have a balanced budget amendment. And so we need conservatives who will say no to any and all deficit spending. And this is one way we need to rein in the GOP as well. He wants to introduce a limit on tax liabilities, so limit how much the government can take from hardworking Americans. He wants to concentrate on finding sources of energy right here in America. We've got enough oil under our feet, and I can remember talking about this 3 years ago. I had somebody on the show talking about this. We've got enough oil in America that we can get economically out of the ground now that'll last us for 150, 200 years. Obamacare, move away from Obamacare, repeal it, offer individual health care savings accounts, and allow people to have catastrophic type insurance and not insurance that covers everything and a lot of things that we don't need. And he also wants to establish term limits. Again, this is one that I'm sort of half on, half off, but something is better than nothing. He says 6 years in Congress, 12 years in the Senate. This thing that all these old fogies and old farts that are in there forever and make a career of it. No, we need to get rid of that. We need fresh blood every so often. Sean wants to introduce school choice, freedom, competition to save our kids from failing schools, and he wants to secure the borders. And, of course, it isn't just securing the borders. There's more we need to do on the immigration side, but it is a start. It is a start. So that's his ideas. Now, of course, the balanced budget amendment falls into line with what Mark Levin has been proposing. That was the other talk show host I wanted to mention. He recently on one of his shows had a great idea, and I wish somebody would take it up. Need somebody like a Rand Paul or a Ted Cruz, and basically take, and in some ways it's kind of doing taking the mickey out of King Barry, because King Barry surrounds himself with all these people who, whenever he gives a speech, and apparently at the recent speech that he did, where he was pleading to extend unemployment benefits, he had all these people who've been unemployed for so long and need to have their need to be paid even more not to work. And actually making a fool of himself, because he was saying it improves the economy to pay these people not to work. The guy has absolutely no idea of economics. But anyway, Mark Levin said we need a good conservative Republican to somebody like Ted Cruz or Rand Paul should get up on the stage, surround himself with a bunch of people cancer people who have lost the cancer drugs because of Obamacare, a set of doctors on stage who have given up practicing medicine because Obamacare has made it so difficult. Just a bunch of coal miners who've lost their job because of everything that Obama's doing against the coal industry, and just surround himself with all these people, but also point out who they are. 10 of these, 10 of those, 10 of the other, and have like 100 people there. So all these different groups that have been punished, have been affected by all these stupid things that our dear friend the Caliph Hussein has been doing. And that's one way, perhaps, to turn the public against him. Anyway, we're getting close to the end of the show. Just quickly in the chat room, lots of interesting chat going on there. I'm going to have a look at some of the links that people have been posting. Thanks for that. Maybe bring some of that information into the next show. Just want to remind you, next week, Roundtable with Red State Talk Radio hosts. I'm expecting about 5 or 6 of them to join me, hopefully as many as that. Last time I did this a couple of years ago was great fun, so do join us. And of course the show after that will be episode 200. It's going to be a little bit of a fictional show, but should be lots of fun, I hope. And again, want to thank my friends in the chat room. Like I said, lots of interesting things going on there, so I'm going to have a look at those. Wish everybody, again, a Happy New Year, and let's go out there. We're going to win this one for the Gipper. I know we can do it. Let's think positive, and let's get things moving, and let's show that there is a groundswell of grassroots support for Tea Party type conservatives, but one way or the other, let's get Republicans in. I know, yes, sometimes you have to do that by holding your nose, but we have to get back that power. Okay, folks, it's the end of the show. It was great talking to you. Join me next week for the roundtable, and hope you enjoyed yourselves tonight. TTFN. Talk to you next week. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.